All right. Hey, Travis, how's it going?
Doing good. How are you? Thanks for having me on your podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for coming on. And yeah, real excited to talk to you today. I mean, from my perspective, usually who I'm talking to, I mean, I talk to a lot of expats, obviously, different countries. I do a lot of Costa Rica, but, you know, it's usually very tax specific, given that that's, my main role. And so it's gonna be really cool just to hear, I mean, the ideas to hear about your experience, moving to Costa Rica, what brought that on, and then also kind of the things you've gone through practically, getting integrated into Costa Rica from a business perspective, starting your business down there, and then, just from a lifestyle perspective, getting that practical side of it. Because a lot of what I talk to experts usually, right? I'm talking to immigration experts, tax experts, all good stuff, but at the end of the day, there has to be a practical element to applying these rules that we deal with. So yeah, it'll be great to hear your perspective, and yeah, maybe just to get started, where'd you, I guess, yeah, where are you moving from, and kind of what kicked off this move to Costa Rica?
Yeah. So again, thanks for having me on. I actually was born in the Buckeye State of Ohio. Went to school at WVU, West Virginia University. Got into a sales role with a pharmaceutical company and did that for about 6 years before moving to Chicago and doing medical device sales there for the last 11 years before the move to Costa Rica. So one of the things I did in medical device sales was concentrated on startup companies in the neuromodulation world. And it was great doing that. Absolutely. I think a few things kind of happened to push my fiance and our dog down here. Number one was COVID. I think that pushed a lot of people in different directions, kind of made you think a little bit differently about where you want to live, what you want to do, what you're willing to risk, making, some big moves.
Yeah.
So Costa Rica is always one of those things, hey, it'd be great to retire there, maybe move down there mid-50s, do some real estate, but kind of just, pura vida, so, like,
Right.
go, like enjoy the weather, enjoy the sun. And then it came a point to join another startup company, and this would have been like the fourth one. Kind of wanted a break from that.
Yeah.
And it was a situation where my fiance works remotely. She always has. So that was a big part of it there, really helped to kind of push us down here. And then, yeah, we decided to come down here. We vacationed a lot here. Our story's kind of boring. Fell in love with the culture, the weather, the scenery, the nature. I mean, there's so much to do and explore in this country.
Yeah.
Then I remember we came down here on what we called like a work trip. It's like, all right, we're gonna go to Costa Rica. We're gonna wake up at the same time we wake up. We're not gonna have fun. This is gonna be a work trip just to see what it's like. And
Yeah.
next thing you know, we're on the beach in the morning and the mountains at night, and it's like that's life. You're
Yeah.
so,
Right.
no,
Yeah, that's a cool way to do it. Like that's what I've always heard from people too. I mean, everybody has different approaches. Some people just know, or at least think they know, and just and make the move. But I've always liked that idea of like, even if it's not a country, like move into a different country, but like, yeah, go live in that. Like, what would your daily routine look like in this place?
Yeah.
And that gives you a better feel. I mean, you never know till you know, but
Exactly.
yeah,
And I think strategically we did it smart. I think we planned the trip for probably about 14 months in advance, and that allowed us a good amount of time to take care of issues in the States, be able to relocate. I mean, just a lot of stuff goes into relocation, even state to state, but internationally, it's a whole different story. So
yeah,
I was glad that we had the time to kind of prepare. What I will say is I listened to so many podcasts about expats moving down here, what to expect. And
yeah,
I'm not a patient person by virtue anyway. So it's been a challenge, but in my head, I was like, all right, when we get there, I know it's going to be slower. I know the bank's going to be frustrating, but man, you don't know what you don't know until you get here. And
right,
a lot of those frustrating things, you deal with them. You can't change it. You look for efficient ways to do things, but yeah, a lot of the lessons we learned here, we're still learning. So it's great, but like you alluded to, there's always things you're adjusting, trying to figure out and navigate the entire system. Personally.
yeah. I mean, and that's it's almost like, okay, you could say this about a lot of things we have in our world, but I mean, it's almost like there's so much information out there. At some point you get to a point where it's like, you already know what you're going to know, so you kind of just have to experience it and see how, see how that works for you at the end.
Yep. And it's different for everyone, like, what are you coming down for? Are you retirement? Do you want to be kind of off grid in the mountain, or are you going to be working? A lot of it depends on kind of what you're looking for, and that may guide you to different areas of Costa Rica. Like in the South, you're not really close to like a major city or anything, and that's okay if you want to kind of be more isolated until that area builds out a little bit. But so I think the only certainty is that it requires a flexible mindset to some extent. I mean, because otherwise, it's not going to go exactly. There's no way you can plan it out directly. Just 100%. It's kind of a different mindset, and clearly, it can be a risk leaving what I've been doing for so many years and having success in that industry, and kind of come to a brand new, career, if you will. And I have my license in the States, real estate. It's mainly just on referral status. So I've always been involved, but this is the first time full blown, like, let's go, let's build this and do it. So.
Right. So, okay. So you were doing, you were working for different startups in Costa Rica. You had a real estate license in the US. So you'd done some of that, but now, now when you moved to Costa Rica, that's what you're doing now is real estate sales, like existing places, or are you actually part of development projects, or
doing a little bit of everything? So I joined Remax Oceanside here in Jaco Beach, and really my clientele is looking for existing condos on the beach, Airbnb properties, something I call it kind of a lifestyle investment. It's something that they want to enjoy themselves, come down maybe once or twice a year, and then in airtime, rent it out, especially during the busy season. But yeah, that's kind of the clientele. I do have a gentleman who's purchasing 2 lots in Hermosa, Jaco, beautiful Pacific Ocean view. So he'll probably start to construct in about a year here. And then we are introducing a brand new oceanfront tower as well. So a little bit of everything, a mix of, land, condos, homes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, and I guess, yes, I mean, people can find you at your website, I'm sure, at Remax. And I'll leave I'll leave notes in the show notes just so everybody knows how to get in contact with you if they want to check out the Jaco Beach and the places available there for sure. But I know it's a growing area.
It is, absolutely.
I went there when I was 12 years old on a fishing trip. We went to Los Sueños.
Yeah.
The Marriott there.
It's my favorite.
I remember it vaguely, but it's probably a lot different than it was in 2000 or whenever I was there.
100%. You probably wouldn't recognize a lot of it. Even since the time we've been coming on vacation here yearly, I mean, it's changing. It's a lot of people are coming down. A lot of people are coming down for 6 months at a time. They found a way to be remote workers. Maybe they're freelance. A lot of people looking to move here, like in terms of, things aren't so great right now in a lot of people's eyes in the States and in Canada. So
yeah, it's election. The two main places, right, is Canada and the US. You'd say?
Those are my clientele, absolutely. Yeah, and probably more Canadians, honestly, right now than people in the States, but it's really starting to pick up. I'm starting to, have those conversations with a lot of people about maybe getting their foot in the door, working towards residency, maybe not working towards residency, but just kind of putting their foot in the door now, knowing real estate's probably not going to get any cheaper here. And then with the intention of possibly relocating down here. Most people, I don't think, are 100% abandoning their country. I think, most people are hanging on to a property, whether that be a primary home in Canada or the States, or a secondary property, something to go back to and enjoy.
Right. Yeah. Because honestly, my wife and I have looked at Costa Rica as a place for us to go. And one of the challenges we've seen getting there is the housing. I mean, because we like the beach area, so we like Guanacaste and Jaco and all that, but it's expensive. I mean, at least the places that we're looking at, and loans seem to be a problem. Like I see all these nice houses, and it kind of just reminds me how much money is out there in some cases, because it's like, yeah, there's $1 million house here, and then it's a cash offer. Like you have to have that cash in a lot of cases. So that's one of the challenges that I've seen personally in trying to get there.
100%. And I get that question, probably the top 3 questions I get, like, what's financing look like? And you get financing here, you're going to jump through a lot of hoops. It's not easy. You're going to pay a higher interest rate. The terms aren't as favorable as they would in North America. There's also a company starting to work pretty closely with out of Salt Lake City, Utah, who will do lending for North Americans buying in Costa Rica.
Really?
So really
you can use the Costa Rican property as collateral for
correct. Yep, that's 100% right. It's structured like a mortgage, but technically it's not called a mortgage. You know, it's more of a, I'm not going to call it a hard money lending or loan, but it's similar structure to a mortgage. So I'm working with them a little bit more to find out more details. But primarily what I see is a home equity line of credit being taken out on a home in the States and applied here for cash. I will say also, like you see $1 million house here, and depending on where my clients are from, they'll laugh when they see the $1 million house. If they're from like Southern California or something, and usually it's like, do you know what this would cost? And
right.
And then San Diego, San Francisco, wherever, New York, Chicago.
Right.
So I do think prices are going up, but I think the value you get here compared, especially in the luxury market, compared to what it would cost you to be on the beach or have a villa in the States. Sure.
And I'm looking at probably like the places that I'm using as an example are probably the most expensive places too. Yeah. You know, so I mean, there's definitely places that aren't, you know, $1 million.
Exactly. And there's still areas that are to be developed. You know, there's always that next beach town that gets a good reputation. And then you're starting to see pavement come in with regards to the roads, and you can kind of follow the money that way.
Right. Yeah, for sure. So cool. Yeah. I mean, what other, you know, some other challenges I hear from people is just like culturally or language barriers and things like that. I mean, I don't know Hakko as well, so I don't know how, you know, how many Americans and Canadians are down there. But is it one of those, is that area specifically one of those places where you could probably function and not learn any Spanish, but it's going to be hard? I mean, you're better off trying, obviously.
Right. Yeah. I think you're better off trying because you can hear more. Obviously, you open up your clientele a little bit. If you can't speak Spanish, it's hard to work with someone who speaks Spanish.
Right.
But primarily, like where we're at in Hakko and even Guanacaste, usually anywhere on the beach line on the coast where it's a tourist destination, you're going to get a lot of people who speak English, and it's been hard. I wouldn't say I'm failing, but it's a D.
Yeah,
a D. So I'm trying. I'm picking it up a little bit better. I have lessons that I'm going through, and I'm starting to more or less hear it a little bit better, but you can absolutely get away with not speaking Spanish if you're in a popular, expat town. And the locals here speak perfect Spanish too, or I'm sorry, English too, in Hakko on the coast. It's also hard because sometimes you go out and you prepare and look, all right, I'm going to speak Spanish. I'm not going to speak English. And they'll ask you what you want to eat. And, you say it in Spanish and they revert back to English.
On in English, right?
Yes, that's great. It's like,
yeah, that happens to me too. I remember I went to, we stayed in Brasilito, and I would try to speak Spanish and they just, revert back to English, and I'll just be like, fine. But then I went to Tamarindo, and there's so many Americans there. Yeah. And I would go to a store planning on trying to speak Spanish, and it's another American working on the desk. I'm like, well, this is just silly for me to both speak broken Spanish to each other. But that's,
and you brought up an interesting point. Like that's something with Hakko, it's a lot of expats, but I feel it's a lot more local too, because we're only an hour and a half away from San Jose. So you get a lot more local vibe here.
Okay. I didn't realize it was that close. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. And that's why the beach is so popular. It's a
quick ride to the airport.
Close by. There's a lot of people going to Manuel Antonio, and this is an hour from Manuel Antonio. So it's a great destination for people that just want to stop through maybe for a night or two, or plan a whole week and just enjoy all the different areas outside of Hakko. But it's kind of funny. Like I'm a big college football fan, so the Saturdays are kind of like religious for me. And I found my bar here in Hakko who allows me to come in. I wait in line to get in, even though I don't have to. I'm the only person in there, so they have my games on all the TV screens, and they got audio on, which is rare. And I'm usually the only guy in there, like rooting for my teams. We went to Guanacaste for a weekend, and it was like Illinois, Purdue, LSU, all these T-shirts you saw. So it's a lot more. I felt like when we were up there, more expat, a lot of California. I call it California money.
Yeah, we were when I was in Brasilito, we were near Potrera.
Yep,
and it was during it was during the National Football Championship week.
Oh, yeah.
And like we didn't see that many Americans around just during the day, like on the beach and everything. But then it was, I can't even remember who was playing. I think it was I don't remember, but we went to a bar there, a restaurant there, a Mexican restaurant, and it was all Americans dressed in their in their NCAA stuff. So I mean, so yeah, it's out there.
We went to a 4th of July party recently at Los Sueños, and I don't know, it felt too fake. It was,
Right.
we ended up leaving, and I don't even know if I saw fireworks 4th of July, but
Yeah,
a little bit different. But there is an expat community, and it's friendly in the fact that no one's like, oh, you're moving here, you're late. I was here 5 years ago. It's not like that at all. I feel like everyone, for the most part, is helping you out. Hey, this is where you need to go get this. This is who you need to talk to for this. So we're learning a lot from our connections. We met a lot of people here that are our friends, both local people and also people that come down 6 months at a time. So right now, a lot of our friends are back in Canada or back in the States, but we know they'll be returning when the weather gets nasty in a few months.
Right. I got you. All right. Well, cool. Yeah. I mean, one other question I get from a lot of people is the banking side of it. And I've talked to experts around it, but I'm just curious from your perspective. I mean, everybody says it's slow and be prepared. And, but yeah, I'm curious. I mean, you've done it from a business and a personal perspective.
Yep. So,
I mean, I guess what is the difference between the two as far as getting that accomplished? And then, yeah, what was it worse or better than you expected?
So for your listeners, I swear to God, we did not have this conversation before we started the podcast, but one of my biggest frustrations, call it what you want, is the banking system here. Yeah. I'm still dealing with it since we moved here. The example I have, and maybe it's not like this for everyone, maybe it depends on what bank you go to, and I'm not going to name drop the bank, but I went in with a colleague of mine who she's Tico, she's local, and she's kind of like the girl that you take to the bank because she knows the language, she knows the form, she has everything ready.
Right.
So go wait in line for about 3.5 hours, and that's kind of what you do depending on what bank and what town. You take a number, they call us up there. She's translating. I'm basically, I don't know, in my phone. We wait about 2.5 hours. I don't know what's going on at all. It's just forms back and forth. So after about 5 hours, maybe 6 hours, I was like, congratulations, Mr. Comstock, you now have a bank account with our bank, and it's really neat, and you can do a lot of things online, and you come back next week, we're going to give you a debit card for colones, and we'll give you a debit card for USD, and it'll be great. Welcome. So, I'm pumped up. Go back next week, and we don't have your cards. They're in San Jose. So, well, what do you want me to do? Come back next week and we'll have them. Okay, this is annoying. So I go wait in line, come back. Actually, we don't have them. I'm like, still in San Jose? I'm like, no, they're lost. Oh. So the branch manager, he comes out and he's like, hey, I'll email you when we have them. We got to track them down. So about maybe a month goes by, I get an email. Hey, we got your cards. They're here. And I was at a medical conference in the States, and I wasn't going to be back for a week. So I wrote them right back. I'm like, great news. I'll be back on Wednesday of this week to pick it up, or of next week. So Tuesday comes around, and I send them a confirmation email. See you at 10 o'clock. I'll show this email to the guard so I don't have to wait. Good. So I get there at 10 in the morning, and I meet with him, and he basically says, your cards aren't here. I said, no, here's the email from you. And, well, we destroyed them last night because they've been here for over a week. So then I go to the next one all over.
Yeah, you get them next thing.
So now what I do, and this is one of the lessons I've learned, is build a team around you and go everywhere with them. So I go to the bank now and I take like my attorney and my accountant, and it's like help here because we got to get something going. So as I collect commissions and I pay tax, it's important to obviously have a bank account set up here and to pay utilities and everything else. So
if you just showed up without people around you, not speaking the language, you'd be pretty much hosed. I mean,
yeah. Or you just are so well researched. No, I won't even say that. Yeah, it feels like you have to know the right person to talk to the right person to get anything done. The bureaucracy here is layers and layers and layers.
If you just show up and say, hey, how do I get a bank account
Yeah, good luck. Probably not going to go on. Maybe they'll send you to San Jose to get a form BC, but you can't pick that up on a Tuesday, so you need to come back on a Wednesday to get the form, and then you come back, it's not the right form. No, there's hoops to jump through, and the best advice.
At least save yourself hours, days, weeks, months of time getting the right people around you, getting the right advice.
And like in the States, what you pay for is what you get, honestly. Like it is.
Yeah.
If someone wants to come down here and learn the tax system and you can communicate, man, there's a lot of opportunity here. So
right.
It's hard to find, a reliable accountant. I think I have now. And, some of the biggest difference here is you're collecting EVA, you're paying EVA, which is the tax here, the national tax. Right. So you have to remit that to the hacienda every month, whereas in the States, it's not the monthly reporting. You can do it once a year, keep track of your finances, but I got it figured out, and it's actually pretty cool. There's a software system that basically collects your electronic receipts, and then file them away. And at the end of the year, at the end of the month, you send a report in. So it took me a while to learn that, but as we're settled in, there's some aha moments now. So,
and you're like a year in now, or not?
Yeah, we moved last year. We're about 10 months in, actually, to this day.
Okay,
cool.
All right, awesome. Well, this is good stuff, Travis. I appreciate it. If you, I guess just one more thing, if you could, and you've already covered a lot of this, so we may already have it, but if you go back to pre-Tico Travis, when, what advice would you give yourself if there was one particular thing prior to moving to Costa Rica in particular?
Yeah. And I hope throughout the podcast I didn't make Costa Rica sound too bad, because the advantages far outweigh the frustrations at the bank and doing anything else. I mean, seeing the sun every day is phenomenal, especially if you're coming from, the Midwest states. And just the amount of activity to do. It is a more slow lifestyle. It's more laid back. I really don't feel that yet because I'm trying to grow a business, so it's go, but I can appreciate it, and I think I will get there. But to answer your question regarding what to expect, or, I think give yourself time. I don't think move on a whim. I think, research as much as possible, figure out what you're going to do, figure out, your income. Is that going to come from Costa Rica? Is there a job you can do? And on your last podcast, there was conversations of legality behind, working and just moving here. So figure it out, find a good team of people that you communicate with and make them your best friends. And depending on how you want to live, it's costly. It really is. On a tax, which you pay so much in import tax. Property tax is extremely cheap here, 0.25% of the appraised value, but where they get the import tax, so electronics, vehicles, I mean, it's not cheap to move here. You can move off the grid and have your own fruit trees and grow your own vegetables and save a lot of money, maybe get some solar panels up. But for the most part, I would say if you want to come to Costa Rica and kind of live a lifestyle that you're accustomed to in the States, it's not cheap.
Right.
Real estate taxes are about the only thing I would call somewhat cheap still. Everything else, woo. So, and I think that's everywhere though, right? I mean, it's inflation. It's not, the groceries aren't cheap.
It certainly doesn't feel cheap in Alabama.
No, cars here can be double or triple the value. And if you try to bring it in from the States, it's complicated. And typically you're going to pay a tax on what it's worth here. So we research that. That's another good point. Unless it's like a car you really cherish, or it's something you don't want to give up, it's probably best to bring a suitcase or two and then rebuild here, buy here, maybe sell off some assets in the States and come down with some money.
Right. Yeah. I mean, the move to Costa Rica, or really anywhere, is not necessarily, or shouldn't primarily be, a financial decision. It's a lifestyle decision.
100%. Yep.
Cultural decision. And
it's realizing that. One of my local friends said something to me months ago, and it just stuck. And he's like, dude, it's going to take you about a year and a half to decompress. And I kept thinking, what's that mean? What's that mean? And he didn't lead on to a whole lot, but I know exactly what he's talking about. Kind of just letting go and, enjoying the vibe. And mañana means maybe next week. So,
for sure. Yeah. It depends on where you come from. Like I told from New Jersey, he wakes up every morning to traffic and horns honking and sirens and everything. And I was actually in Puerto Rico, and he said he comes to Puerto Rico for 3 months. He's like, right at that 3-month mark, I start to kind of decompress a little bit, and that's probably it. Probably take a lot longer than that still, but yeah, it's what your body and mind is accustomed to. It's hard to just slow down. I mean,
No, you can't. And for me, like I said, growing a business and doing, the right things to grow it appropriately, it's a lot of work. And I know it would be, and it's fun. I'm having a blast. And, still to this day, we're going to the beach in the morning and in the mountains at night. And it's just,
yeah,
it's a great move. It's a fun move.
Yeah, that's awesome. No, Costa Rica is one of my favorite places in the world. It's not a coincidence that I have a lot of clients there.
I bet you probably get so many questions, especially this year, an election year. Half the people are pissed, half the people are happy. So you're going to get.
It'll be interesting. You have a lot of people threatening to move. We'll see what happens. Before you definitely come November, right? Well, awesome, Travis. Really appreciate it, and good luck with everything. And we'll put out your information if people have questions about getting real estate down in Jaco, and
absolutely. I appreciate it, and maybe connect soon again and talk about some real estate down here.
Yeah, for sure. Sounds
all right. Thanks, Alex. I really appreciate it.
All right. See ya.
All right, man. Thanks.